Let's take a breath together. I was sitting over there listening to the musician's song, and one of the recommendations is that we have the doors open so that there's airflow through the building. And I noticed my papers were giving it one of these, and I was like, well, this is a new wrinkle. I have to nail my papers down for while I'm inside of the building. But I kind of like having the breeze moving through here. It's a nice thing. So this morning is, at least in the United States of America, Mother's Day. And historically, it's one of the few holidays that actually seemed to sidestep male supremacy, because Mother's Day was actually in place long before Father's Day. And I just, too many of us don't know our history, so I just thought I'd throw that out there. And Mother's Day, first of all, I want to honor everyone here that is a mother in biological terms. And then I want to honor everyone who has ever stood in the role of being a mother. Because Mother's Day, for a lot of folks, is a very difficult day. For some, it's an incredibly celebratory day. I talked with someone yesterday whose son took his own life in November. She's not having a great Mother's Day. I talked to somebody earlier this month who is a transgender individual. And there is a struggle with how to compartmentalize and understand motherhood in the transgender experience that is different than the cisgender experience, that generally goes unspoken about. And one of the things that we talked about, which really led to a great deal of my talk this morning, is that motherhood tends to be painfully based in fertility. And so even women who want to be mothers sometimes can't be because of fertility issues. And why is it that in a world full of creative beings, we limit motherhood to fertility? I don't have an answer for that, but I do know the question rolls around in me. And so I want to start this morning with what I think is an amazing piece of writing. And it's written by a Hungarian. I'm going to slaughter your name if you're still on the planet, and if you're not, I apologize. Mutato Leleknik. And it's called, Do You Believe in Mother? In the mother's womb were two babies. One asked the other, Do you believe in life after delivery? The other replied, Well, of course. There has to be something after delivery. Maybe we are here to prepare ourselves for what we will be later. Nonsense, the first one said. There's no life after delivery. What kind of life would that be? The second one said, I don't know, but there will be more light than there is here. Maybe we will walk with our legs and eat with our mouths. Maybe we will have other senses that we can't even understand now. The first replied, That is absurd. walking is impossible. And eating with our mouths? Ridiculous. The umbilical cord supplies nutrition and everything we need. But the umbilical cord is so short. Life after delivery must be logically excluded. The second one insisted, well, I think there is something, and maybe it's different than it is here. Maybe we won't need a physical cord anymore. The first replied, nonsense. And moreover, if there is life, then why has no one come back from there to here to tell us about it? Delivery is the end of life. And in the after delivery, there is nothing but darkness and silence and oblivion. It takes us nowhere. Well, I don't know, said the second one. But certainly we will meet Mother, and she will take care of us. The first replied, Mother? You actually believe in Mother? That's laughable. If Mother exists, where is she now? The second one said, she is all around us. We are surrounded by her. We are of her. It is in her that we live. Without her, this world would not and could not exist. The first said, well, I don't see her. So it is only logical that she does not exist. To which the second one replied, sometimes when you're in silence and you focus and you really listen, you can perceive her presence and you can hear her loving voice calling down from above. It's powerful. It's very powerful. And the reality of it is, in the true biological sense, not one of us would be here without being birthed of a woman. Now that, and I say this every Mother's Day, that in and of itself baffles me that misogyny can even exist. It baffles me that the concept of male supremacy can even exist, when the reality of it is not one of us gets here but through the womb of a physical, biological woman. I'm just saying, that kind of, sort of, in my mind, gives them priority. He gave me life. What else do they need to do, people? Really? What else do they need to do? Now here's the other piece to that. Because some of us were born to mothers that were ill-equipped to be parents. That's just true. And so for some of us, Mother's Day carries that pain. That our deserving love, revolutionary love, love that changes our life, didn't happen for us. But I submit to you what did happen is life. You were given life. You were given the power of choice. And yes, for some of us, after that, things got profoundly messed up. We're at choice if we stay there. We weren't at choice that we got messed up. But we're at choice if we continue to live in a messed upness because we refuse to shift, because we're more connected to blaming those that wounded us than we are to healing ourselves. Every one of us, I'm going to go back to this idea of fertility. I don't care what biological gender, what biological parts you were born with, what your gender identity is, whether you have one or not. Every one of us is pregnant every moment of every day. We are pregnant with possibility. We are pregnant as possibility. We are literally so freaking fertile, we can't not create. What if we leaned into that fertility? Because I'll tell you, as a female to male transgender individual that had a child, that had miscarriages, it's a lot to wrap your head around. And what changed it all for me was finally, oh wait, my fertility is not limited by biology. It just isn't. Get this, folks, every thought you think is birthed. There is no miscarriage in thought. There is no false delivery in thought. Every belief you carry is creating, is gestating, and will birth something. Now, unlike this physical birth, we don't always get to choose what we birth. In consciousness, you are absolutely at choice what you birth. Now, how it necessarily shows up, not so much. But what you're birthing, what you're holding in consciousness, what you are choosing to believe is 100% within your control. 100%. We have to take responsibility for understanding the power that lives within us and celebrate it and use it wisely, consciously, intentionally. You know, there are as many accidental gestations in thought as there are in the physical realm. Right? How many of us have those unwanted things that show up in life where we're like, this was not part of my plan, and yet it was, because you failed to plan so that it wasn't part of your plan. Okay? And that gets tricky with consciousness, because if you focus on what you don't want, guess what you're going to get? That. Right? Because thought is creative. Thought is creative. And consciousness is affirmative, which means that little three-letter word N-O-T is completely dismissed by the creative process. All it latches onto is what your thought is focused on. And so even if you're walking around going, I'm not going to get COVID, I'm not going to get COVID, I'm not going to get COVID, all the consciousness is, oh, they're really interested in COVID. Okay. It doesn't mean we ignore it, but what do we want instead? Focus there. I have a healthy body. My body is free to move about. My lungs exercise perfectly. We focus on what we want. So I went through this process with that writing. And I thought, what would that sound like if we related that writing to all of consciousness, to thought? What if that conversation was being had between two thoughts in the utero of mind. Right? This is what came out of that. Do you believe in Creator? In Creator's mind were two ideas. One asked the other. Do you believe in life after thought? The other replied, well, of course not. There has to be, no, wait a minute, let me, start over. Take two. Do you believe in Creator? In Creator's mind were two thoughts. One asked the other, do you believe in life after thought? The other replied, well, of course. There has to be something after thought. Maybe we are here to prepare ourselves for what we will be later. Nonsense, said the first. There is no life after thought. What kind of life would that be? The second said, I don't know. But there will be more light than here. Maybe we are each to take different forms. Maybe we will have special functions that we don't yet understand. The first replied, that is absurd. Form is impossible. And diversity in form? That's ridiculous. The imagination supplies all the energy we need to stay present. But fear is strong. Life after thought is to be logically excluded based on the fear we experience. The second insisted, well, I think there is something. And maybe it's different than it is here in thought. Maybe we won't need this fear thing anymore. The first replied, nonsense. And moreover, if there is life after thought, then why hasn't any form ever showed up here? Form is the end of life. And in the form there is nothing but matter. You know, darkness and silence and lack of imagination. It takes us nowhere. Well, I don't know about that, said the second. But certainly we will meet Creator. And it will take care of us. And it will be in many, many forms. The first replied, Creator? You actually believe in Creator? That's laughable. If Creator exists, where is it now? The second one said, it is all around us. We are surrounded by it. We are of it. It is in it that we live. Without it, this world would not and could not exist. Well, I don't see it. So it is only logical that it doesn't exist, said the first one. To which the second one replied, sometimes when you're in silence and you focus and you really listen, you can perceive its presence and you can hear its loving voice guiding us from the inside. Let's take this into prayer. And so what I know is that there is this one power, this one presence, this one infinite field of fertility, of infinite possibility. That it is loving, harmonious, peaceful, presence, one. that it creates out of itself, by itself, into a multiplicity of form. And so I know that I must be that. And all that it is, lives, moves, and has its being in, through, and as me. And so as I am it, I am a center of its fertility and its creativity. And so I speak my word, claiming, affirming that I am aware of the creative fertility of my thought. That I plan wisely, that I listen closely, that I focus my attention in intention, giving birth to the multiplicity of form that is the very expansion of Creator. That I give birth to the multiplicity of experience that is the expansion of Creator. That I expand my own thought processes to be truly inclusive of every diversely magnificent creation of this one. Grateful in this moment and in every moment for the power that lies within each and every being. Grateful for those who have chosen to give life in this physical form. Grateful for those who were unable to choose. Grateful for the biology of fertility. Grateful for the spirituality of fertility. Grateful for the reality of fertility. Grateful for every messy moment of motherhood throughout the cosmos. Knowing that our whole mess is simply our wholeness coming to fruition. And so I celebrate. I celebrate the perfection of the unknown. I celebrate every divine yes, every divine no. I celebrate. And so in this celebration, I release my word into the activity of the womb of creation, into law that makes it so, that nourishes, that evolves, that gestates and births creation. Grateful, grateful, grateful. So I let go. I let it be. And so it is.